Welcome to this week's Spokane City Council study session. We just have one agenda item to have a general discussion about ARPA funding. And Councilmember Zappone is still away. Councilmember Wilkerson will be joining us, but we thought we'd get started without her because she's not imminently here. So we had a few things to talk about. Later in the meeting, I'm going to have Matt Boston give us updates on the tranches 1 and 2, where those projects are as far as going out in the community. And he can just give us a quick thing and answer any questions about specific projects that are out there. As a review, we had all the council members and then present briefly their ideas for tranches 3 and 4, and we then put those all on a list and included all the ones that the mayor's office had given us, and we did that dot matrix exercise where people had their color for their name and their number for what strength that they wanted to add to it. And so the ARP council work group has gone through that, and we put together a proposed list of tranches 3 and 4 items. We divided them into 3 and 4. That the 3 seem to be more urgent to get out the door, but there's not really a division between that. The way we came up with them is we first looked at how many votes there were in support for a particular proposal, and we included, we added to that the sponsor of a proposal because they couldn't vote for it. So if 2 people voted for it, we assumed that the sponsor would have voted for it if they could have, and they had 3. So that was the first measure of how many votes did they have? I shouldn't say votes. Ratings would be the right word. How many ratings did they have? And then we, within that, we looked at what was the strength of priority in those ratings. And when we went down, we had included everything in tranches 3 and 4 that had at least 4 ratings, except for the lowest one, which was utility payments. And we didn't include that one for a couple of reasons. And again, this is just our proposal, and people will figure out what they want to do. But the reasons were, one, it was a very high number, and secondly, it was the lowest rating of all the 4 rating group. And also, our analysis from our finance person was that there were other ways that we could give relief to those people, so those individuals could still get relief without reimbursing that money to the utility departments. So that's why it didn't. But I believe everything else that had at least 4 members rating it, including the sponsors, made it onto the list. But there were several with 3 sponsors and ratings that are not on the list currently. So that's what this list is tranches 3 and 4. And the other thing that I was going to say about it, the administration, after we did that, they gave us more, $40 million worth, more things, which are sort of in our work group queue on tranche 5. But where we are procedurally is we're trying to figure out what special budget ordinances that we should come forward with that were equivalent to tranches 1 and 2. So that's the discussion today, main, is to get people's input about what the SBOs should be for tranches 3 and 4. And anyone that thinks there's 4 votes, well, really 5 votes for an SBO on something else that the administration proposed later, that could come up. So there's nothing, we're really just looking for discussion today and people what they're thinking about particular things. And I'll open up in a minute for just general, and then we probably will go through tranche 3 and 4 proposal from the work group and just get any questions and just get people's thoughts so we can judge what support there is for that. But it does take, actually, it does take 5 votes to do an SBO. And then the other thing that I was going to say is that to date, we have allocated a little over $39 million, which leaves us with about $41 million to allocate. And if you looked at the SBO, Yeah.
Does that mean allocating, does that mean that people have actually gotten funds?
No. It just means we have taken a vote. So we have voted
Okay.
by SBO for
Okay.
$39,366,000.
How much actual money has gone out the door?
We will
That was my question.
we will get to Matt. We'll come to that. I'm going to invite him up in a bit to give us on that. Not enough is the short answer, but we'll get on specific things, and you can ask him about any of the specific things that are out there for that. So there's about 41 million. This this proposal from the work group, tranche 3 is about 24 million. Tranche 4 is a little over 8 million. So that, leaves us, if all those things were allocated the way they are here, there would be 9 million left for tranche 5 or some other thing. So what I've noted, and if it's not apparent to you, it will soon be apparent to you, when we've crossed over into the second half of allocation, things get dicier because suddenly you can see things that, wait a second, this doesn't look like it's going to get funded, and I really care about this. And, so I think I'm anticipating that kind of conversation today, which is just totally fine, but as it is. On the first tranche, it was like, oh, there's plenty, let's do it. And now it's like, ooh, are there other ways to do it? So I think with that, I'll just open it up to comments about anything, questions about anything, and then I'd like to go through this proposal, which again is just our work group's draft, trying to put together what it seems like is support. Yeah, Councilmember Bingle.
Well, thank you. First off, I did appreciate the process of, there's a lot of ideas here, and I thought the idea of, the bean counting, putting down, was a really good idea, helping us all to sort of accumulate and sort of understand where everybody was at. I will say one of the things that I was frustrated about in this is that we were told that it was going to be total points that came out of this, and then that sort of changed after we had allocated our points and the things that we had voted on. And so we probably would have done that differently if we had known that things were going to change afterwards. So that's something that kind of bothers me in this process. Lastly, in this, I went through these tranches of funding, and another frustration for me is that as I broke down the number of council members and the funding sources, or the programs that are getting funded, I was frustrated to see that everybody had at least 6 that they were involved in, with Council President having 9, and I'm only involved in 1 of these. That bothered me quite a bit.
How many did you sponsor? Because there was no limit on what people could sponsor. So
So in tranches 1 and 2, I sponsored several. In tranches 3 and 4, I sponsored 1 because it was a priority of mine, and I wanted to make sure that it received funding. And that's why, as we were going through and looking at the total number of points that would be on there, we assumed that those were going to move forward based on the numbers count. But when it came to the voting, I voted on at least a dozen that I think that I could have been involved in. And so when it comes to, while I didn't sponsor any of them, I think it's pretty unfortunate that I find myself only on one of these and being involved in 1.
But you only sponsored 1.
It's not even the one that I sponsored.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we all had that chance. So
Uh-huh. And I sponsored several in tranches 1 and 2, and I'm not on any of those. And then if that was going to be the case, then I wanted to make sure that one that I'm really passionate about, the police vehicles, police capital, got funded. It did not get funded, the things that I asked for. And so the one thing that I sponsored, I'm not on because it's not in this group.
And public safety capital was something that I was passionate about, and it's not on here. I'm okay with that.
I agree. And
because
I
we all agree.
threw 57 points into that one because I knew that it was very important to me as well. That one didn't get funded. If we went on total points, if we were going with the top 15 or 16, which is what it looks like we did here, based on total points, that one would have been funded.
So, yeah, we agree on that.
Yeah.
This is messy because we've never done it before.
Sure.
And nobody's ever said, here's $80 million.
Sure.
Go have fun. So I feel like, given what we had to work with and the speed with which we had to work, it was fair. I agree that there was some confusion, absolutely, but I think that's part of the problem with somebody giving you free money. And you've all heard me talk about free money and
Yeah.
what a curse it is. So I feel like we're moving forward with some really good things, and we don't always get everything we want.
I don't deny that there's very good things here. I'm protesting the fact that I'm on one of these.
Okay.
Everybody else is on at least 6. That to me seems to be a problem.
Okay,
So can I just address,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to argue at all, because you
Sure.
feel how you feel. So, but
Yeah.
I just wanted
I
to
don't
address
see
two
myself
things.
on any
Since, so one of them is, if someone's name is on it, that's just because they were sponsors in the thing. And so I was trying to, now there were a few of them where people sponsored, or multiple people sponsored it. So they had the exact same thing. And so that's why there's multiple people on one, because they had the exact same. So there was no, the committee didn't use any discretion on whose name was on it. It was like, if you sponsored it and your
Oh, I see.
fellow council members had enough people who wanted to do it, then your name was on it.
Sure.
So it was just by so the determination of that was by everyone putting their dots on it.
Sure.
So the committee didn't do anything that. Might still feel the same, but I just want to be clear on what the editorial influence. On the question of whether it was how many points or how many members, I'll tell you what my thinking was on that, and we all have all the data, so people
Sure.
can do what they want. But the reason that I did it first by members was that it's going to take members to vote on it. So it doesn't, you don't get more votes because you're more passionate about
Right,
your thing.
right.
It's, do you have, initially I was thinking 4 council members, but really, do you have 5 council members that would vote for that? And so that's why I did that first, because even though Police Capital has a lot of points, so there was, it's not going to go, it wouldn't go forward with a vote. I didn't think. It doesn't mean that you can't make a proposal to do it and then see if you can and change it. But that's why it went that way.
Sure.
Because I was like, why does it, until we have at least 5 people that would do it, for purposes of discussion, because this is all it is right now, is discussion. But if it looks like then we do have 5 members, then it would turn into an SBO.
And I totally understand that, and I don't even disagree with that thought process. I think it's fine thought process. That's not what we were told at the beginning, and that would have, again, affected how we move forward with things in our priorities, in our voting, all of that. That's
I
the
get
point that I'm
I get
making.
it.
Yep.
No, it's a good point. I get it.
Yeah, just to piggyback, and I'm on 7, gratefully to be on 7. But you combine 7 plus 1, that's 8 basically that are represented by District 1, and it's significantly more represented by the other 2 council districts. So I just think in terms of making sure that our district is represented as we formulate these programs, I think there does need to be additional that Councilmember Bingle is a part of to make sure that our district is represented.
Councilmember Canoia?
Why do we continue to conquer and divide, or divide and conquer in this case? Some of these projects are going to benefit the entire city. They're not going to just benefit District 1, 2, or 3. And you continually say that District 1 is underrepresented.
We literally are.
Affordable housing projects, $6 million. Most of those are going to go to District 1. Go down any one of these. They're going to benefit District 1.
Which makes it important that District 1 has some sort of input into what they look
We
like and
have
how
an
they're
input
shaped.
into all of these. We're in this together.
But we don't even hear about it till after they're done.
Done.
We're not given any forewarning on
Yes,
these.
you are.
Well, okay, I think everyone's made their point, but this is the time for everyone to do it. There's 2 council members from each district. I represent all the districts, and that's what we're doing. There has to be a work group to put stuff together, and the intent of the work group was to reflect the ratings that everybody participated in. So but I mean, I'm not saying don't feel the way you feel, because you
Right.
feel the way you feel. So I'm not saying that, but that's just what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
Councilmember
Well,
Wilkerson.
everybody knows I've been saying from the beginning, everybody's not going to get what they want. There's limited dollars. Each of these tranches, we try to make them as flexible as possible to meet the needs in each district. I put in a lot of work, and my name's only on 2, and I've been in every friggin' meeting. And I'm representing, my position has been to represent the whole city. whatever happens to the whole city, I feel the whole city will benefit. Yes, we can try to bring home the bacon to our district. I get that. But it's really the whole city that has to move forward, not just one area. And again, these tranches will benefit every district in the city, whether it's housing or childcare or city projects of citywide significance or any of these. Everybody will benefit from them. And no, I don't think any, if we look at demographics, every district has its financial struggles and areas of lack of disinvestment, Mike. Everyone. I take that approach too. But in trying, I'm just saying for me, I've tried to be balanced and not come at it from a district perspective, but from a city perspective. And some of these, I've even stepped back and not even given my opinion because I didn't want any appearance of bias or preferential treatment going forward. So it is new, it's messy. We had guidance. We're trying to follow the guidance that was given by the feds and trying to make an impact in every segment of our community. That's policing, that's housing, that's childcare, that's business, that's cultural investments, that's nonprofits, that's cultural centers, small business, and it's just a whole smorgasbord of things that our city needs. We need a lot. 81 million is not going to solve it. We are really just trying to move the needle a little bit on some of these with this money because we don't have it. So we can do that. So that's just my position on this committee, and I that's all I can say. It's been as fair as I possibly could have made it going forward.
Councilmember Bingle and then Councilmember Cathcart.
And I don't disagree with that, right? I think the process has been tough. It's new. I don't disagree with any of that. I do count 5 for you, Councilmember Wilkerson, on here. I'm still only in 1. And when it comes to not everybody's going to get everything they want, I totally get that. And if it was just something, if only some of what we were requesting was going to get funded, that's why I narrowed down. There's only one thing in here that I really want to see get funded because I know we're not going to get everything. So I'm not asking for everything. I'm asking for one thing, and it's not in here. So I totally get where it is. $81 million is not a lot of money. We have to look at the entire city. I totally get all of that. For me, like I said, being only on one with the one that I wanted, the one that I have is not one that I was, chomping at the bit to be on, and the one that I really wanted not happening. That's my frustration. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I agree with 100% of what Councilwoman Wilkerson just said. The concern isn't so much, if you sponsor something, is it going to get funded? That to me isn't the sort of equitable concern. It's merely the participation in formulating what these programs will look like. Yes, they might be citywide programs. Many of them, most of them are, but there are considerations that might have a different sort of impact in one part of town than another. And if we don't have the requisite representation, then you might miss something. And since we don't vote to approve these RFPs, we don't really have a touch point on these. That's the only place where that comes from. And so if you don't have all those perspectives at the table, you might miss something. Now, if we were coming back here, voting on them, having debates, amending them, it would be a whole different story. But that's not the process that we're operating under. So the concern isn't, does Councilmember Bingle have something that he sponsored that's moving forward? Is it fair that he does or doesn't? That's a different question. It's just the participation and the perspectives at the table in formulating what these look like when the RFPs are put together. That to me is my biggest concern.
Council President Matt Boston sat up in his seat, so I'm thinking he may be anxious.
No. I'm gonna. Yeah. So I want to just address a couple of things. So first of all, what I'm hoping for today when we go through the specific things that's why we're going to have this meeting and find out. So when you look at a particular thing like nonprofit entity recovery and resiliency, so we're looking today like, all right, tell us, we better than I think we've ever done on the earlier 2 tranches, we put more detail on it, and that's exactly what we're looking for today. So if there's like, hey, I think we need to put this requirement or take out this, we are looking for that today. So, we welcome that. And then also, I know that on the earlier tranches, there was some confusion about them coming back to council with the outline before the RFP writers did the specifics to make sure that people didn't have objections. So there was a couple that didn't really come back the way, and they went out, and I think we've corrected that so that when tranches 3 and 4, each individual thing, they will come back and say, these are the high points on eligibility that I think you're doing. So we have agreed to make that adjustment. We did it on some of them last time, but not uniformly, in my judgment. So we are going to try to do that. The other thing I did just want to go back to Councilmember Bingle. So I think I've probably said this twice already, but I just want to say, the fact that somebody's name is on this is only because that's how the ratings went. There was no okay, we're going to give this, and your one thing that you wanted the most didn't get those. Now, but I do note that we have allocated several $1 million from ARPA already to police vehicles. So it's not that there's shut it, but I get that of what's remaining, you were like, no, that's my top things. But so I just wanted to, it's a little bit random whether I would just say anyone whose name is as a sponsor, they were a little better at anticipating what the other council members would support, as opposed to having influence over the process. But
And I get that. And again, that does make it seem as if, okay, well, if we're only going to move forward the things that the majority supports, if we're not going to be discussing and talking about those things, it does feel as if somebody who may be in the minority could be left out of those conversations, which would be unfortunate. So,
well, they shouldn't be left out of the conversation. Right. And what would happen at some point is there will be a special budget ordinance that will have, I'm just going to make it up, 9 things on it. Mm-hmm. And then it would come and we'd get public comment on it, and then you get to debate and say what's missing is here, and I've got an amendment to add this, and it would be fully here. So you won't be foreclosed from making your push for that, I think.
So I assume the ARPA committee will make the kind of final decision in terms of what comes into that tranche 3 or 4 SBO. So will they just sort of take notes from our conversation today to do that, or what's that process look like?
So that's the first thing, is to say, all right, we're giving you what we think is the outline for the next SBO. What's your feedback? And so we'll incorporate that as best that we think will attract votes. And then we also shared this with the administration a week ago Wednesday, and we got just a little bit of feedback, but we're meeting with them on next Wednesday. That's the Joint Administration Council ARPA work group. So we'll get their input as well on that. And then we would come up with an SBO that we would take to committee, get further feedback, and then put it into the on-base. So and again, there's plenty of time to amend either actual things on or off, amount of money, up or down, or to the degree that we have a little bit of narrative on that. But it won't be the final word on narrative, because that will come back to council one more time.
and one last thing I want to say, if I could. I don't believe you're trying to exclude me from anything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just, as I was going through, that shocked me. It blew me away. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I'm bringing it up.
No. Well, and we don't get to talk as a group
Right.
about it. So, I mean, this is a good conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry, back on the process. So looking at these sorted by the numbers who support. So is it kind of in your mind, would the starting point be take all of those that are supported by 4, 5, 6, put those into that SBO, debate it, see if anything needs to change, and then consider additions beyond that?
That's what this reflects right now. So this outline of what tranches 3 and 4, it reflects exactly that.
Okay.
With the two caveats, the utility assistance of $6 million, that proposal, that did have 4 council members, but it was the lowest. If you added the numbers, it was the lowest, and that was a lot of money, and we had some other ideas on that. So that's the only one with 4 that didn't make it. Other than that, if it had 6, 5, or 4, it's here. And that's the one caveat. But the other caveat is what I just thought of while I was here was I'm like, well, even 4 votes doesn't get you there. It's probably worth putting on the thing, but it takes 5 votes for an SBO. So,
Sorry, quickly
Yeah.
on that again, because I think I saw the municipal court in here. Yeah, the Municipal Justice Center, and I don't see that on where we put our.
yeah, good point. So there's 2 like that.
Yep.
There's that one, and there's the bid expansion. And that's because those were already approved by council in some other kind of piece. So we had a resolution on the municipal court already for that amount. And then we did the contract with the bid. So we threw them, they weren't in the rating thing because we had already done that. But when I was thinking, oh, but we've never done the SBO on them. So they're in the list, but that's why. But they were not voted, they were not rated.
Right.
They were voted, but not rated.
So I'm just going to ask Councilmember Cathcart and Bingo, because I really want to hear when I'm sitting here thinking about these descriptions, what would be specific that would make me think District 1's being left out or District 2? What would be the question? Let's just take anything, small business. What would be, because that's really important to me, I think to all of us. So what would be like the question? Are you looking at, well, are we going to have a certain number of businesses that have to be in District 1 and a certain number in District 2 and 3? But we can't do that because they have to meet the requirements of the RFP. So we can't go down that road. So I'm just
But we-
asking, I'm just open to ideas.
Right.
I really want to.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, we could be debating all kinds of things, whether it's some sort of direct allocation from the city straight to businesses, whether we're going to go through a nonprofit, whether that nonprofit is going to have, whatever language access. I mean, it could be a whole myriad of things that are we thinking through all the details before we make a final decision? And it's not about the overall 50,000-foot view, do we fund it? We might agree on that. It might be those just in the weeds details where there's some level of disagreement. And until we get into that debate, it's hard to really say. what that is.
I heard his concern slightly different than I think you did and maybe Councilmember Kinnear did. Because
Okay.
I first was hearing it like, okay, are we not investing enough in a particular district? But what I heard you saying was, no, it's not about that. It's about the way that it's going to be invested. What are the considerations in the RFP? That's what I heard. It wasn't so much the amount. It was making sure that it's tailored, not in the amount of money, but into the conditions on the ground in the District 1. That's what I heard.
And
That's really
that's
it.
that's exactly it, because we don't feel like we're going to get excluded from the money. I believe that, again, you care about every single one of the districts, but we carry a slightly different view from our district that aren't going to be represented in the other districts, and we just think that's important in the weeds, like you said, of the discussion. There might be small changes here and there. That's it.
So, we give the description to the administration, and it's lobbed over to the other side of the house, and a lot of that work's done over there. And then once we've actually approved it goes over there, pretty much, then we don't have a lot of interaction with it after that point. So there's some more finessing needs to happen.
Yeah.
We got to work on that.
Yeah.
But we do have built in that when it comes back, that we're going to bring it to here and say, this is what we, and see. I mean, my prediction is that 80% of the time, there's not going to be any
Right.
concern, but it's that sense of something going out the door without having a little piece on it, so. Any more general comments?
I guess my other question would be, as we think about the 41 million we have left, and we go through these priorities or kind of the rankings of these, will the committee, the ARPA committee, consider modifications or changes to the amounts that we're allocating, up or down, in order to accommodate more projects, or just curious about that and what that process might look like?
Yeah, so we'll, in a minute, we'll go through these and get people's feedback who are here. But right now, this is the presumed amount for each of these. But again, that was based mostly on the ratings and our input. There could be, and I don't remember them all, where we made some adjustment, something. So they may not have matched perfectly. Sometimes there were one.
I'll give you
This-
the example, childcare. We lowered childcare because we were not going to do capital because that was being funded by Commerce. So
Yeah.
we had this high
Yeah.
number. Once we found out more additional information, we lowered that amount. There was a couple others like, oh, that's a pretty low amount to really achieve that outcome. So, i.e., small businesses, like we thought like $3 million. Well, that's the whole city. That's not going to go very far. And we thought, but these numbers are not in concrete.
Right.
So we're open for
Well,
input.
Most of them were just how they were, but sometimes there was two things of the identical subject but different amounts, and we're like, oh, are we averaging them? Or there were some other things. But that's what we're going to hear from people today. So if people think something's too high or too low or should include this extra point, that's what we want to hear today. Because we did our best with the data we had, but now we get a chance to meet with everyone at the same time. So if people are up for it, I thought we could just go through these individual items and ask questions about them or suggest, give your opinion of the amount of money or anything else.
Right.
So I think most people have it. So the whole document was all the tranches, but have skipped to page 7, which is the start of tranche 3. And the first one is the community center grants, $500,000 to each to MLK at East Central, Northeast, and West Central. And kind of, it has a,
I have a question.
yeah.
Was there discussion of adding the American Indian Community Center in this?
Not to this one.
I didn't see it anywhere else.
They would be in the nonprofit recovery, and then I believe there is a multicultural center.
Okay.
Yeah, so on page 8, there's $5 million for nonprofit entity recovery and resiliency that includes capital. And then on page 10, there's $1 million for multicultural centers.
And would they be allowed to apply for both?
I don't see.
Yeah, we
any-
haven't,
Okay.
I mean.
We haven't heard
that
any
could be
guidance.
a detail to work out, but at this
Yeah.
point, we haven't said anything
No
about that.
guidance, so.
Okay, thank you.
So on the community centers one, I think this is great. I would maybe suggest another $500,000 for the MLK Center because they need a serious HVAC
Yeah.
investment in theirs, and the cost is roughly about $1 million. And so that's my only thought on this one. I think it's great that we're investing in them. I would, ask if that's something that anybody else would be interested in.
Yeah, that's important.
And,
That's-
yeah, so again, we're just taking comments.
Yeah.
There is also just the possibility of, just like at Northeast, using this $500,000 as a match to the legislature and getting $500,000
Okay.
from them. So, but
We were thinking capital for that.
Yeah.
that's exactly the
So you
comments
said
we're
2
looking to.
million? What was your number? Increase it to what?
Yeah, if we increase, and I mean, I don't want to
No, we're just.
take it away
yeah,
from
let's
the
go.
other ones. And so if we wanted to have an equal amount to all of them, then it would be increase it from 1.5 to 3 million. But I know that like I said, the MLK Center needs $1 million for their HVAC. And the million's a rough round number they've given me, so
Yeah.
Okay.
900 and change.
900 and change. Yeah.
Anything more on that one? Then the next one is pretty straightforward. It's the add to pay on the contract we just paid, the $270. And then the next, if you turn the page, there's the college success, which that potentially incorporates a couple of proposals that are related, and we've encouraged those entities to work together because apparently their work is overlapping, intersecting, and they are talking to each other. But
But that will be, it'll still be competitive. We're
It'd be an
hoping they're-
RFP.
It'll be an RFP, so we're hoping they'll work together, so.
Yeah.
The college success one?
The college success and the two entities.
Yes.
I have a question on the next one. The small business recovery.
yeah,
I know Councilmember Zapone and I were sponsoring and working with the Garland Business District on some structural changes, they wanted to update and clean up that district, modernize it a little bit to get more people up there. So is that where that would come out of, or does that come out of a different one?
It comes out, if you go on to tranche 4 on
Okay.
page 9, there's $2.5 million for neighborhood business district support.
Did I say that?
Oh,
I'll find it.
they're kind of combined together. It's hard to see.
Yeah, you see downtown bathrooms?
Yep.
Right below that, there's a
Oh,
dot.
I see it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so what's, I would say notable about this, these are direct grants to private businesses, essentially, but they are narrowed to really the lower revenue businesses. So that's the most, I would say the most unique thing about it, as opposed to when we did the CARES Act money, it was much more wide open.
So can I ask a general question?
Yeah,
Because this hurts my brain when I try and figure it out.
yeah.
So we've got the tranches. We know what we're looking at as far as financing or supporting. So if I'm one of those agencies, am I going to have to apply again to get money from, how are we getting this money?
How would it get out?
Yeah, is the city writing checks and saying, okay, this is for this, we're going to send them a check? Or are these organizations going to have to apply for a official RFP?
So, yeah. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. There's 2 options. On these ones where there's a lot of volume, it was more like the rental assistance originally was the option, is we would contract with someone to
And
take
they
the
would-
applications and they would do
Okay.
it. So that was the original. But Matt and Michelle Murray from administration have been brainstorming about, well, maybe we hire some temp seasonals to do it direct, and people apply directly. So we'll hear more about that. But those are the 2 options for, I call them for the ones with kind of a retail face, where you have all these different people. The ones like College Success, that will just be an RFP, and the city would write the check, because there's only a handful of people that might apply for that. So, or not people, but entities.
And since these are, under $50,000, then these would be things that wouldn't be approved on by us, just whoever's administering the program would be
Yep.
taking and writing those checks.
Yep. A good point, though. Might want to be, if we went the other route, it might want to be 49,999. So that's a good, so the small business and the nonprofit are pretty similar, but, and then I'm at multicultural centers, which are in a way a subset of nonprofits, but meant to be more targeted. And again, $1 million is a lot of money, but it wouldn't build anyone from scratch, but it would support. So it would be seed money, matching money, it might get the architectural plans built or something, might. But that was, I forget how many people rated that, but a lot of people rated that. So.
Do we have anything specific in mind? Because, it's a pretty big difference from small business grants that we're giving out and nonprofit grants. Is there a reason for the difference in the amounts there?
Aren't they the same?
You mean,
The total dollars is the same, but
Yeah.
total grants that can be given to one entity is pretty different.
let's see, I'm just looking on the nonprofit one if we even limited it in this document.
Yeah,
Yeah.
base grants of up to $40,000 to $60,000 there
Okay.
versus, the businesses 20 to 30,000.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of my thinking was the small business, but with the small nonprofits, that's a wider reach. The business is important, absolutely, but with a nonprofit in their work, in their challenge, and how their funding goes, and there's more options in the nonprofits for other things that a business may or may not need. So we kept it open. This isn't like in stone, so if you
Right.
see something different that you think you want to add, this was just our first blush
Yeah.
at where this money could be
But if
allocated.
you have a suggestion for different, that's
Yeah,
what we're looking
well,
for.
I'm not saying it should be different. I was
Yeah.
just curious as what
I-
was the reason for the
I
difference?
think the reason, from my standpoint, is that there are way fewer nonprofits or number of entities as opposed to private businesses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the private businesses, we were going to try to spread over more. And so I just, that was the only reasoning that I saw behind it. But
Sorry to interrupt. If everybody can get close to their mics, I'm hearing some people online who are having trouble hearing you guys when you're back further. So,
Okay. But I would say for all of the numbers on both is that it wasn't like from a report on economic development or something
Yeah.
and then some formula. It was just what we came up with, so.
So email us your thoughts.
Yes.
And then Municipal Justice Center, again, that was something that we voted on before. That particular building is probably off the table at the moment. They haven't finalized that deal. It could fall through, but, so,
So on that, if we decided that we wanted to approve this, we put that $5 million aside, is that just then something just sitting there when the next opportunity comes up, then we have that?
except it has to be spent before
Yeah.
the end of
Oh, right,
2026.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
If not,
yeah.
it rolls back into.
By the
So
end of
it would have to be
2026?
Yeah, I think it's the end of 2026.
Okay. Right, right.
Okay. So, yeah, so if we weren't getting anywhere, we'd have to reallocate that money
Okay.
by the end of 2024. Okay.
So then that's like worst case scenario for us is that if we approve this and then we couldn't find anything, then that $5 million has to pretty quickly be allocated to something else.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I assume a future council in 24 or 25 will probably come back and look and see what's still sitting there and then reallocate
They
to
could.
somewhere else, so.
It could.
you can't. Can you reallocate after 2024?
Not after 2024, so you have to have.
Okay. So we'll have a date in 24 that we have to make a decision
Yeah,
by then.
a hard stop.
Be just an evaluation, just a working plan of what's next step, whether we're sweeping money back or we're underfunded.
I will-
That's up to you guys on what sort of plan that needs to be to say, okay,
Matt, they can't hear you, so I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
going to restate what he
Correct,
said.
yeah.
Is basically he said that if we if we don't use the we have to have a plan to use the money by 2024, and that has to be
But it doesn't
in
have to be
stone.
spent until
right.
2026.
You can give people another 2 years to spend it. Yeah. Okay. That was tranche 3, and again, the division between the tranches was mainly due to urgency in getting the dollars out the door for them, or letting people know. So then going into tranche 4, upgrades to Chambers, Briefing Center, Channel 5. This was one of those ones where there were all different numbers out there, so we came up with a 350,000.
Yeah, I think this one's great. Is there any way that we could add some money to this one as well to sort of, a lot of the neighborhood councils, are doing their virtual meetings and sometimes they don't have the proper equipment and those kinds of things to maybe make it to where we could upgrade again a community center or some sort of library, something like that to where they have the ability to facilitate their hybrid meetings better. That's one of the things I hear from our neighborhood councils quite a bit.
All right?
So I agree with that. Neighborhood councils are getting funding to do their Zoom online.
Okay.
So there's money allocated for that, and there is libraries resources. I don't know about how we could actually allocate equipment to each neighborhood council since that leadership turns over.
Right.
How we would track that, that would just be, I'm not saying it can't be done. but
totally.
I'm just thinking like, who would be responsible for that?
It could be Office of Neighborhood Services, that they,
Neighborhood services, yeah,
they could manage that money and the equipment.
right.
Are you thinking like installing smart rooms in the community
Yeah,
centers?
something like
kind of
that.
thing?
Yeah, because I mean, we've all been on the neighborhood councils and it's run off a laptop. You can't hear the person way down there. You can't really see everybody. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult to interact. And I think the hybrid meetings, I think we'd all agree, have been pretty great for increased access and, participation in the meetings. And so finding a way to, better foster that environment, I think is a good idea.
And I think it could be granted too. So, like Nevada Heights meets at a cop shop, right? So maybe they would just need a little bit of money to buy one piece of equipment
Right.
to make their meetings run well. So just something like that.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
we could, I mean, you could just give the money to the Office of Neighborhood Services and say if any,
Yes.
they could make it available to whoever who needed it and then had a plan to use it. So,
And also, I'd encourage the neighborhood centers who don't have smart rooms, this would be an opportunity for them to apply under this umbrella to get that type of equipment to make them more of a resource in the community.
okay, great. Next was downtown bathrooms and amenities. This is another one that there were different amounts of money. And again, depending on the proposal, it was different things, but we just said 4 downtown bathrooms and water refill stations. So how many there are and how much money. And then also it included, I think what we heard from the new director of DSP was it needed to have an attendant and cleaning services attached to it.
So if I send some information, that seems so loud. If I send information on the urban rest stops that we had talked about at one point, could that be considered too as something that might,
Could be.
okay,
It was a little different, but yeah, send it.
okay, perfect,
Send it
thanks.
in. And then that gets us to neighborhood business district support, and this again there were a lot of different ideas that we just kind of combined it. So one was those capital improvements, getting banner stands on the light poles, to other things. It was marketing, helping people figure out how to do procurement, branding, different, and it could be, in our judgment, we said could either be the association, like the Garland Business Association, or it could be some money for direct support for businesses in there, additionally to the regular small business grant. They either might not qualify for that one, but the main thing that we wanted to do for all of these, we hope, is that everybody who applies has to disclose that they've applied for something else, so that there would be no double dipping without knowledge. Double dipping could be fine if everyone knows about it, but
Does that include like the PDA, the Northeast PDA? Is that funding, is that envisioned in this?
it's not really, I don't think it's the PDA. It's more like I don't know, do you have an association for Market Street? Is that what it's called?
What did we call that?
Hilliard Business?
Hilliard Merchants Association.
Yeah, so it'd be more that than the
Okay.
PDA. The PDAs, and it might be just the way that it was divided up of how it was listed or something, but the PDAs did not have a lot of support from council members out of ARPA in terms of numbers of people. We are, as you know, trying to get money from our congressional delegation out of it. So, the council is working on getting money for the PDAs. But it didn't, and that was one of the ones I sponsored as well. So I was surprised that it didn't get as much, but it didn't. At this point. The next one is a legacy business ownership transfer. So this was to work with those businesses that want to essentially sell to their
ESOPs,
employees.
yeah.
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 And there's a nonprofit that's in that space currently, and GSI is also working in that space. And it's 500,000, not 5 million. You could just
Right.
see the thought there. And then the next is broadband, and we upgraded this just a little bit from what people had talked about, and that was because we had a really good meeting with a local person who works for the ports, and they have a consulting, I believe it's a nonprofit consulting of the port associations to try to help cities link up better with the money, federal money that's coming through Commerce. And so we just had a little more information about that. And so they would map our existing broadband and our speeds and access and literacy, and then help us essentially work with Commerce and or the broadband providers to pitch for this money. So that's a new piece that wasn't listed, but it also includes the more typical things we were doing, which is actual infrastructure at libraries and parks and schools to do stuff.
So the, what do we call it? The technology we're talking about that detects when you've shot a gun, and the Wi-Fi that might come with that. Is there, I don't know what the full price tag on that is, especially if you were to try and do it, citywide or over a pretty large scale area, but it seems like that might be sort of, we could kill two birds with one stone in a way with
Yeah.
that. And so that might be
What I
something to
was
think
thinking.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that, again, you bring up a great point. So that came to light since we put this
Right.
together. And it's only been presented to us once, and so I've forgotten half of what Shauna told us, but it had great promise, including it seemed like it was paying for itself with,
It pretty
Yeah.
much was.
yeah,
and
but yeah, so I'm just gonna,
It's got more on it
Yeah.
to send you all.
And I think it's one of the beneficial things about, and I assume it would be some sort of a Wi-Fi type community connection that you would have. And I think the benefit of that is, we have a lot of these, especially older multi-unit buildings, but a lot of these buildings where they simply restrict, installation of broadband or television, cable television, whatever it might be. And so it's really hard for them to get access to it without some sort of a wireless connection.
Yeah.
So it'd be helpful.
no, I think it is. It's essentially, it wouldn't be the whole city because it's not, but in the parts where the sensors were, it would be Wi-Fi free zone at a pretty good speed, it sounded like. So I'm making a note to include the language in there and see how, and maybe we'll ask Shauna, how much money does she need as a catalyst? Because we might increase the money or something like that. All right, continuing, multicultural centers, we talked about that already a little bit. Land bank, a land bank means different things to different people, but essentially this would support a nonprofit entity that would operate a land bank. And my understanding of land banks is there's one piece of it that is just about the ability to take land that has liens on it and unwind it legally. You take it through a washing machine, it comes out the other side, and it's now marketable land, and there's no liens on it. So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of a land bank is to accumulate different parcels and do things. And so, but it's not a land trust, I guess. Some people might get confused. It's really just the entity that would be a tool for the city to get land back onto the market with an emphasis on affordability.
And do we know if I'm sure somebody has been working this with Matt Folsom and that group that is,
Yeah.
okay.
It would work
Okay.
with that. But my understanding, and I don't have all the details, is that there is now, or there's about to be, an entity that will be a land bank, and they're looking for money to support them in getting going.
And so our purpose for this is to relieve distressed properties, put them into this land bank for the development of apartments. And
Let's just say affordable housing.
is it,
It's broader than that, actually. It's not
Well-
just, it could be a single-family unit.
right, and this is my question, is
Yeah.
that, because my understanding of land banks has been the cost of the land, if we were able to eliminate the cost of the land from the purchase of a home, we could lower the cost of, ownership opportunities for people to step into single-family homes or something like that. That's my understanding of it.
That's more of a land trust.
Okay. And it says land trust in here, so
So
that's
you
why.
could, it could go into it. So
Yeah.
this money would more support the entity that has different portfolios of projects. And one project is just to take, including it could be a small house on land that's unwinding all the stuff and then getting it back on the just getting it back on the market, so it's just there. And then another
Or
one could be
development.
supporting giving it to Habitat for Humanity type of organization for free or low cost. And then the other is land trusts supporting it. But it's not necessarily that it comes out of it free. It comes out of it without any financial restrictions, so that's not a problem. And then how much money is generated, because you can do them different ways. You can say, no, I'm just going to use the Habitat example, not that they would be the
Yeah.
favorite. But their people get mortgages and pay off over
Right.
30 years. And so then that money goes back and gets the next piece of property.
Right.
So it could be either one, or it could be what you're talking about. No, the land is no cost at all, and it's just the building. So it could be either. But it's a much more generalized
Sure.
level for the entity that's trying to facilitate it, as opposed to actual purchases.
So could, theoretically, if, say, like a Spokane Housing Ventures owns a house on a oversized lot or on a double lot or something, could some of this money be used to try and, add additional dwelling units to that space?
Not so much to add units. What it would be used for is if they wanted to short plat it and they needed some help to do that.
Okay.
It's more that.
So not the capital, but, okay.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, that's what it's more about.
Okay.
Because it's still not very much. It's 500,000 in the world of ARPA. It's not that very much. So.
Yeah, 500.
And then ADU reimbursements, and I can't remember if this amount has changed, but
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It went from $500,000 to 250,000.
okay.
And this will still cover the cost, the projected cost of the existing pilot, and leave options to extend into 2026.
Okay, so this is basically waiving permit fees?
Yes.
Okay. And we got some numbers, and I don't know how widely they were distributed, but we got some numbers from Business Development Services of like,
Yes.
yeah, we couldn't spend 500,000 doing just that. So that's why
Gotcha.
they lowered it.
So we lowered it.
Does that still cover the 1,000 ADUs?
No.
Okay.
It's no.
I was like, that would be incredible if we
Yeah,
could get
yeah,
1,000
no,
ADUs.
no. Yeah, I don't know what I crossed that out on mine. I don't know what the new number is.
No.
And then the next is the Children's Fire Safety House. That's replacing that fire department educational thing. And then the last one that we have here is the bid expansion. And again, it's not for sure, it's conditional in a bit, because the bid/DSP has to go through their process of trying to get agreement from the areas south of the viaduct to join. But our agreement that we signed with them is that if they get them to agree and council approves, we agreed to pay $250,000 for each segment, if they do all three segments. And then there was another 50,000 over 2 years, the way it's written, so a total of 100,000. So that's why it's 850,000. But if they only did one of them, then it would be 250,000 plus, well, just 250,000. If they did two of them, it would be 500,000 plus the 50, and if they did the three. So it's a little up in the air. The bid or the DSP really thinks they're going to do all of it, but
The
had it.
ambition is to do one a year. So
Yeah.
one section
Yeah.
each year.
they're already behind on the first year, so.
Correct.
So it would be allocating that money and then kind of have to see as we get to the end of 2024 if they, the deal is that we're obligated as a city to pay for it. We're the gatekeepers, we have to approve that they expand, but we're obligated to pay, and the only question is whether it comes out at ARPA or not, but yeah.
Yeah, so if we kind of ask them for some ballpark numbers and do these kind of match up with what they would need for some sustainable funding once they've pulled those
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, it's just, the bulk of this money is that their concept that they persuaded council a little bit over my objection, but they persuaded was that the first year of it, the people wouldn't have to pay assessments.
Right.
And that would encourage them, and that's also the year where there's the most work that needs to be done. But after that, they would pay, the assessments would be sustainable. So, and they're good on that. They're not worried about that. It's just that first year that they're worried about, essentially. So yeah, it would be sustainable just based on the assessments.
Well, I know, because I just met with the new head of DSP yesterday, and I know there is some concern in terms of just the long-term sustainability, because once you get north of the viaducts, there's a lot more nonprofits who don't pay in. And so I know there is some concern there. And so they're trying to figure out those
Yeah.
numbers.
South.
But yeah.
Or, excuse me, south.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, they've definitely, just like we have our finance people who are saying, wait a second, be careful, it's a good idea, let's do it. So they have some concerns about that. But what we've asked them to do is, if it doesn't make sense to expand, then it doesn't make sense. And we had to push on them really hard to even consider expanding, and then they were, and then now they've it might have changed with new administration, but they're mostly are like, yeah, let's expand. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the analysis exactly that we want. That is this zone that you're talking about expanding into, can they support it in the long term? And there's, just to be in the weeds, there's two ways you can do it. If it's less than 10% of additional assessments, you can do it with a council vote regardless of whether the people there want it or not. But if it's more than 10%, you can only do it with some kind of a vote of the people. But if you're going to do the assessees. But if you do that, you can do it in whatever shape you want. So if it turns out that there's a section that's just not that feasible, you could gerrymander around that, essentially.
But the goal on that is to get more business down in those areas if they had that type of service. So
Yeah.
that's how we're hoping it'll pay off and
Yeah.
eventually pay for itself.
Well, and the truth is, businesses have been going south of there, and then they expect the same service that is on the north side of the viaduct. And so it's like, well, okay, you got that. There's a reason your rent was cheaper there. That's going over the tranches. I was hoping, Matt, maybe first, because I think this is most important, if you could come up to the microphone and give a little pitch about what you and Michelle were talking about as an alternative.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Yeah.
So if I do the math right, after these two tranches, assuming no changes, there'll be about 10 million that's left. Is the expectation that that's sort of in reserve? Are we coming back for a fifth tranche? I guess what's
Yeah.
the...
To be determined by this group. So we and council, the council work group has not made a recommendation on that. We've kicked it around kind of three different options. One was tranche 5. One was just hold it back. And there was a third version of somewhere in between the middle of it. And then as you're seeing also, the third, so one was like really hold back for quite a while. The other was try to do something mid next year. So don't go right to tranche 5, I guess. So one was just do tranche 5 right now. One was wait a year, and then one was wait 2 years.
Okay.
Essentially.
I think the goal behind that was we didn't want it to be a savings account for the city. I mean, the intention of this money is to get relief out to COVID-impacted victims, really, and holding it to 2024 or not allocating it to 2024 was kind of thought, are we just kind of saving it at that point in time to see a what if, and is that really the intention?
I'd be curious to see to whatever extent it would comply with the guidelines, but rather than just simply sitting on it for a long period of time, perhaps putting it into some sort of a revolving loan fund so that we could be, getting some positive outcomes, but we're still getting money back on the back end of that. And so it could be a mortgage assistance, it could be small business loans, it could be a lot of things, but I think some sort of revolving fund, not necessarily the whole 10 million, but
Right.
but some portion might be something beneficial.
Right. And there's been discussions about that. I mean, and you hit right on the point. I mean, we have to spend it within the allocation of the eligibility. And that goes, that we paint that all of these narratives as it is right now with that broad paint stroke. Right now, we're in especially tranches 3 and 4, we're in the infancy of just the concepts. And so we've got a rough idea of where those eligibilities will be for those tranches. But as the narrative comes out, we have to make sure that it actually does check those boxes. Same with if we were to hold on to money or we were to do some sort of revolving loan, we need to think about that because technically it has to be spent by 2026. So having a revolving loan isn't technically spent by 2026 if it's coming back to us at some later date.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So Matt, could you, again, we're not making decisions about this today, but share with us as best you can the idea that you and Michelle were coming up with, which would, in essence, try to save money that would be RFP'd out to administrative costs, keep those administrative functions in-house, and pay some more for city, but actually more money would go out the door direct people.
Yeah. So, I mean, as Michelle and her team and myself have all been working on this with a long laundry list of other people that have been working on this, we are definitely building the ship as we're floating on the sea. So it has been difficult. There's been a constant need for additional hours to be put on it. And everybody's working full-time, and we're working with a staff within the city that, right now, quite frankly, is skeleton thin. So what we're talking about doing as we're developing these subcommittees, right? We're in narrative format here, and then it goes into the subcommittee is the next step. Is while council members and administrative staff are reviewing these, making sure they fall within eligibility, drafting the RFPs, as well as making sure that they hit all of the initiatives that council intended when they allocated this money. We're, the folks that are helping, Michelle and myself and Kathy, are kind of doing the program management, which is, as I'm sure everybody knows, a heavy lift. We're talking about, first of all, taking some temp seasonals, just as Council President said, some temp seasonals to keep this process on the tracks, keep it on the tracks, and get it to its goal as quickly and efficiently as possible, which is difficult because while we're having these subcommittees meet and we're drafting up RFPs, we're educating cabinet members on how to draft an RFP, what to do, as well as giving them the education for how it's eligible. It's difficult to say the least, and we're talking about, first of all, having some sort of program management over the next 6 months or so, possibly 2 program managers to say, okay, bring all of these like-minded individuals, council members, staffers, administrative cabinet members, et cetera, to kind of keep that on the track. That's one thought. The next is what Council President Beggs was alluding to was having us maintain these contracts and proposals. At the end of the day, each department that does this has to manage the program, right? So it's not just us simply writing a check and saying go forth and prosper and spend that money. It is the monitoring for several years after the fact. Until the last dollar is spent, they are reporting to the feds, and we are signing off on that. It's a heavy lift for an organization to take on. There's 2 schools of thought. There's one school of thought of, say, for example, the child care, where we allocate, just using rough numbers, we allocate 10% for administrative costs for some outside organization to do exactly what we're talking about, to write out the proposal for different child care providers to apply to get those vouchers, to get those premium pays for those workers, monitor all of that, and then report it back to the city so that it goes to the feds, so that nobody is in violation of following the policies and procedures of the feds. When we're looking at childcare, that's 10%, that's $350,000. When we're looking at not-for-profit support, that's 10%, that's $500,000. When we're talking about small business support, we're talking about another $500,000. We're already at 1.3, and we're talking about 3 projects. That's a lot of money that's not then going to the people that were impacted by the actual COVID pandemic. So in kind of building this ship as we're going, Michelle, her team kind of just decided, as well as I think under consideration of Tanya Wallace, to say, okay, well, if we're going to have to do some of this monitoring on the back end, doesn't it make sense for us to get the most amount of finances out to the people that need it and bring in the support that we need as a city for the next, 6 months to 2 years, depending on what the actual need is. And that's where we're saying, okay, why don't we bring in a handful of, project or temp seasonal specialists to review, to do the monitoring, to do the reporting, to do the application, to do the contracts, and not put it on the city departments that are already overburdened, the accounting staff that is also already overburdened, and bring it all in-house so that we have not only source matter experts that when organizations are trying to apply, they can ask those questions to, but we also have our own department that's really handling the ARPA proposal process and not throwing it all onto departments that are already overworked. So that's where we're thinking. That's where we'd like to go. From a cost perspective, the way that, just rough numbers of what we're looking at, we've already allocated some administrative expense. We're looking at probably another $350,000 would be the overall cost for the next 2 years, and that's where we need it. Then that would sunset into the actual accounting department, where there are civil service or there are open and budgeted positions, and they would take on the tail end of that work. That's what we're thinking. We're thinking that it's the best strategy, but obviously at the end of the day, it's your decision. And one more thing, I apologize, is it gets money out a little bit quicker, right? Because then we're removing the middleman to do that application and proposal phase. So just based on the RFPs that we're writing, the grant applications that we're writing, right? We're seeing that takes 6 to 8 weeks at a bare bones minimum, as well as reviewing these proposals. So we're bringing that all in-house to kind of eliminate that.
So it sounds like this provides quite a bit of a cost savings then between
Yeah.
the current trajectory. So how much do you think estimated we would probably save by doing this other way?
Oh, gosh. I would say, if we just look at the big projects, right? I think the ones that we've pulled out about $1.5 million just right off the bat. So if you're just looking at that, just 1.2 million, probably upwards to more than that.
Okay.
So, it's a huge cost savings that translates directly to the people that need this finance the most.
So is there a downside?
Not that I see.
Okay.
So all of these programs have the administrative reserve, and so what you're saying is if we hire these temp seasonals to be able to facilitate these programs, it's going to require far less of the administrative reserve that we set aside for that. So I understand.
Yes. The end user is still going to need to compile the reports that are going to come back to the city that we then report to the Department of Treasury, right? What it does is it cuts out that middleman. So in the case of the child care allocation that we made for $3.5 million, what we were thinking originally was, let's just parse this out to an organization that'll manage this program and run the applications, do the reporting, and then they just bring it back right up to us or back to the feds. What it does is it cuts out that administrative burden right in the middle. The end user would still need an administrative piece of it as well, because they're going to have to actually compile those reports and send it on over to us. So either way, there's going to be that end user administrative cost.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at the staffing being required here, how many would the administration need and how many would city council need?
Well, really, it's all has to be within administration. So it would all roll up into Michelle Murray's department. We would obviously help in any way that we can. What we're looking right now is probably 3 contract / grant specialists that are, driven. They know Department of Treasury guidance, or they have that mindset, they have that skill set to get into that gear, and then probably 2 program managers for the next 6 to 8 months. So it would be a total of 5 is kind of how we calculated that out.
So I was looking at it, and definitely we need the people, but each tranche like 5 million for small businesses. If we take 10% off the top of that for administrative costs, and 10% off of nonprofits, and 10% off of the whole list, it adds up to a significant amount of money. So this will be a significant savings that will go back to the community. Not that I'm against paying people for their work, but if we can keep it in-house and allocate more, I think that'd be a great thing. And I told Matt, just finding the people we need as quickly as we possibly can to get the ball rolling, because we have all been asked, where is the money?
Yeah.
And how soon will it be in the community? And this lack of staffing has been a definite barrier to getting those monies out a little bit quicker.
I guess my other question would be, we know that there's a little bit of a disconnect between us and the administration, and so if we're adding all the positions in the administration, do you believe that what we're trying to accomplish on behalf of the city would still be represented well in these hires?
I absolutely do. Yeah. You know, we've worked really well with Michelle, Kathy. It's been a partnership that I think we can rely on. It's been 100% transparent. We've been both leaning on each other of expertise and getting things to the finish line. So yes.
Yeah. No, it's great. And again, it's become clear to us now that we're halfway through how it would work. Before, there was, people will go, well, I was proposing that before, but it wasn't clear exactly now. So anyway, I'm really happy, and I'm really glad that Matt and Michelle have really established really good rapport and working relationship.
Matt, I'm going to push back a little bit. So you said 350,000. Does that include equipment for these employees, or does that number need to be adjusted?
It does. So we've currently allocated 305,000 for administrative assistance, right? And that's primarily in the finance department. We've spent a certain amount of that, so we have savings there. I think if we add 350 on top of it, I also don't fully intend that we'll use the full 120,000 for the Moss Adams contract. So I if we sweep a little bit of that back on the tail end of things, I think I feel that that amount will get us there.
Okay.
One last comment. I do appreciate this idea. I know that as we're talking about $81 million, 10% of that is $8 million, and so for us to find ways to actually not absorb that into the city, but to use this for its intended purposes is really good. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're doing study session next week. We have 15 minutes for ARPA then. I think because we're pretty late in, that we'll skip the update on the RFPs till next week.
Okay. Just one
okay.
touch that I wanted to make
Yep.
is that there are a handful of RFPs that are completed. There are a handful that, we are currently scoring, but there are a handful that are completed that we're waiting to get into a neighborly program. That's part of this next process. It's kind of a all-inclusive grant application that we're going to have as kind of a digital file share box, a reporting system, as well as an application system. That is going live on August 15th for a handful of them. And then we're moving forward to the next projects that we deem appropriate and most urgent, as determined by the City Council ARPA work group. Okay. And more to come on that.
Okay.
So, Council President Michelle Roldan, did you want to add anything to Matt's comments? Just give me the opportunity. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for noticing. Okay, that's all we have for this week. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you on Monday.